Happy Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Morning Jox. I'm Conrad Van Order alongside Damian Mitchell, and we'll be with you until 7 o'clock this morning, as we are each and every weekday, and we appreciate you making us a part of your day each and every morning here on Morning Jox. And today is a big day. Of course, if you heard the, I guess, the lead-in, the promo leading into the show open, it's 2 days away from the start of college football. This is the kind of stuff we dream about, right, Damien? 2 days away. And I know a lot of people, you probably have maybe high school football going on tomorrow night, whether it's just in your local community, you have kids, you have nephews, what have you, that are going to be participating in that. And so I know for a lot of people, maybe you're coming to the Jox kickoff party tonight. So you got Jox kickoff party tonight, you got high school football tomorrow, and then bam, you're waking up on Saturday morning and it's going to be Farmageddon, and the college football season will officially be here. So very, very exciting time, of course. And we are excited, as I just mentioned, about tonight. It's going to be a great time out there at Regions Field. I know a lot of you are going to be able to come because you were fortunate enough to win tickets, and we're expecting a bigger crowd, the biggest crowd that I think we've expected in a number of years, Damien. So very excited to get to go out there tonight to Regions Field, hopefully enjoy some good Barons baseball and, just kind of shake hands, talk some ball with a lot of you. I know a lot of you probably have a lot of questions on things that have transpired lately, whether it's with Auburn or with Alabama, and just there's certainly no shortage of things to discuss tonight, Damien, when it comes to college football, and just excited to get out there and rub some elbows with you and our great listeners and some of you that we've met hundreds of times, and hopefully some of you that we've never met before and that we're going to get to meet for the very first time tonight. So it's going to be a big time experience. And of course, Damien, it's a big night for a couple reasons.
Absolutely. I finally get to announce, as today is National Signing Day for me, as far as my fan engagement, my fan announcement, and what team will be representing. I will be representing this fall. Takes a lot of pressure off because I've known it for a couple days. I've reached out to some of the administration and some of the coaches and some of the other fans and let them know that I'll be joining them in 2025, and they seem excited. And I'm pretty excited for the college football season that I finally get to commit to one team. Come hell or high water, I'm going to be rolling with them, and I'm excited to see.
Rolling with them?
It could be a play on words. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
I'll save that for later on today. But I'll be decked out in my fandom and my team today at the Jox kickoff party tonight. So I can't wait. And just talk about the roster and expectations for 2025 for our team. Because I know a couple fans will be out there tonight. We kind of just see how it goes. If there's anything I need to look forward to as far as traditions and things like that the coaches can't really tell you on the recruiting trail of things. But I think it's going to be a blast tonight. I can't wait. It should be a fun time, and we are at the front door of college football season. With who would have thought that we're sitting here excited for a Kansas State football game. It's the fact because it's the first football game of the 2025 season, and it cannot get here fast enough.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's a top 25 matchup that you're going to have to get things kicked off. And yeah, it might be in the the Big 12 with Kansas State and Iowa State, but it's good quality football. You get to watch a Kansas team that I don't know how many people listening have watched a lot of Kansas football the last couple of years, but they're a fun team to watch, man. Jalen Daniels, he's got some juice to him, and they're going up and coming off, honestly, what was a disappointing season for them last year. If you remember, they, had that kind of tear in the middle of the season where they were just knocking off ranked teams left and right in the Big 12 and causing chaos there in that conference. But you're going to get to see them taking on Fresno State. You're going to get to watch Hawaii and Stanford. So we've got a lot to look forward to this weekend. And of course, we all know though that the main entree is 8 days from now, or 9 days from now, considering or depending on who you root for, because that is when you'll have Auburn versus Baylor. That game's 8 days away now, and Alabama versus Florida State is 9 days away. So yeah, can't wait to see all of you tonight. Know a lot of you are going to be out there because you won tickets and you were listening to the show diligently over the last few weeks. So congratulations, and we appreciate all of your support. And tonight is about college football, and it's about the listeners. and giving back to y'all because we could not do this each and every day without y'all, and we appreciate you very, very much. And we're all just excited that it's college football season. So we'll see if things get as chippy in person as they do on the text line, because things have been getting extra chippy as of late, but that's to be expected. But we do have a lot of college football talk to get to, of course. We did get to hear a little bit from some of the coaches yesterday, notably Kane Womack there for Alabama, and some of the interesting comments he had to say about the Alabama defense. But Auburn continues, Damian, they continue to find ways to steal the headlines and be the talk of the town, at least in this state, as it comes to college football. So no, they did not claim more national championships overnight. They're still just at 9. But I did see some lovely pictures, by the way, from inside of Jordan-Hare, where they have already put them up. So if you're going to an Auburn game this year, you will be able to see all of the new additions to the conference championships and the national championships in terms of the years that they have put on the inside there of Jordan-Hare. So they've already gotten that all taken care of. But something that we had talked about, because we've seen, I know Tennessee's done this. I think South Carolina has maybe jumped on board with this as well. There's been a couple of schools that have done this. And our question was always, well, will Auburn or Alabama, how long will it take for one of them to jump on board with this? And the answer is yesterday, if you're Auburn. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is that Auburn has announced a partnership with Yellowwood. Shocker, with Yellowwood, and it is now going to be a 5-year deal that's going to feature on-the-field sponsorships for Yellowwood, and so it's also going to feature the honoring of one Pat Dye. So it's actually very cool. So you're going to have it between the 20 and the 30-yard lines on the field there at Jordan-Hare, and it's going to say Pat Dye Field, and then it's going to have the Yellowwood corporate logo on it, and that's going to be what the graphic is that you see on the field. I've been told that this is a 5-year deal as it stands right now for Auburn that is in the 8-figure range. So, I mean, that's, a $10 million deal is a little different than a $99 million deal just in terms of the spectrum of what this could be. But I think it's safe to say that this is absolutely going to make a big impact for Auburn and help offset some of the now with the House settlement, having the $20.5 million in revenue sharing that you distribute each and every year to your athletes, this will certainly help foot the bill for a lot of that, Damian. And I mean, again, you're going to see more programs continue to do this. I'm sure Alabama will follow suit at some point, but schools are looking for any way they can to put a little extra money in their pocket, and doing it in this way where you not only get to collaborate with a company in Yellowwood, who obviously Jimmy Rain is very familiar with the Auburn program, but you also get an opportunity to honor the legendary Pat Dye at the same time. So seems like a opportunity you didn't really want to pass up if you're Auburn.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, when it comes down to as much money that is being moved around in college sports, to your point, it has to come to a decision like this where, hey, if the check is clearing, we got to do what we got to do. And I know a lot of people, I saw a little bit of kind of some pushback last night on social media of, like what happened to the game I love when it comes to college football and stuff. And it's just like, man, when it comes down to it, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And that's all it comes down to. So, yeah, for Auburn to find a way to maintain these rosters, to keep the athletic fund afloat, you got to make some decisions that may not be the most popular, but I do think that when it all said and done, the field dimensions are still the same. The players are still going to be great.
They are.
They're still going to go out there and play. I could care less what is on the field, except for a good 11 on 11. That's all I need to see, because all the other stuff doesn't really matter. The field, it's still going to be, still going to be 10 yards to get to a first down, no matter if there's a Yellowwood sign or sticker on the sidelines or not. But it's perfectly fine, and I think that, like you said, when it comes down to this money situation, you got to find a way to be creative and also be represented. So it is what it is, and welcome to the new age of college football.
I was about to say, we don't have to enjoy it, but it is what it is, and it's a reality for a lot of these programs moving forward, and even programs like, in Auburn or, maybe potentially Alabama in the future, where, you look at them, and I think we understand, right? They're not Texas or Texas A&M in terms of their financial resources, but they're certainly much more in the boat of the haves than the have-nots in this new era of football, and they're still interested in these kinds of opportunities because every little bit counts at this point. So, certainly big news there for Auburn. If you are the kind of person that's interested in the exact dimensions, so you're going to have on the on-field graphics. They're going to be 18 feet high, 21 feet wide, and again, as I said, they're going to be on each 25-yard line, and they will feature not only the yellow wood, it's the yellow logo, but it will also have it will also say Pat Dye Field as part of the sponsorship as well. So very cool opportunity there. AD John Cohen. In the press release from Auburn University, he said, "We are profoundly grateful to Jimmy Rain and Yellowwood for honoring Coach Dye and supporting Auburn athletics in this innovative manner. To Jimmy and to Auburn, this is so much more than just a sponsorship agreement." So very, very cool. Very, very cool there. And then you had Jimmy Rain who said, quote, "The things that Auburn gave to me laid the foundation for the success that you see today. How do you ever repay a debt like that?" And so that is part of why Jimmy Rain, as we all know, has been a big supporter of Auburn athletics for some time now. And that now continues with this new Yellowwood agreement. So we'd be curious to hear from you, 205-834-9450. What are your thoughts on this? If you're an Auburn fan, are you, look, you're happy because you're bringing in some money and it's going to help you stay more competitive in the NIL front potentially? Or do you think it's, from a tradition standpoint, it's disgusting. You don't want them, Jordan Hare is a cathedral, and any sort of graphics, sponsorships, anything like that just kind of taints the pureness of college football. I know there's a lot of people out there that probably feel that way as well. So we'd love to hear from you what your thoughts are on the whole thing. 205-834-9450. It honestly reminds me of when I was visiting with my dad this past week and we were watching baseball, and he goes, "What's that logo on the sleeve of the Yankees jersey?" And I said, "That's the insurance company that sponsors them." He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, Major League Baseball, they have, yeah, it's like the NBA, they all have a sponsor.
Patch.
They got that patch on there." It's, again, yes, in an ideal world, they wouldn't have to do that and they could get the money elsewhere. But unfortunately, you're going to have to show a little love to these places if you want them to put some money in your pockets. So no different there for Auburn. And I'm sure many, many programs will continue to take advantage of this in the near future. So again, we'd love to hear from you, 205-834-9450, your thoughts on the partnership between Auburn and Yellowwood now that they will have their graphics posted on the field there at Pat Dye Field at Jordan Hare Stadium. So what's going on in Alabama fall camp, though? We got to hear from Kane Womack yesterday, so that's the big news down there in Tuscaloosa. And could we see a true freshman starting on the defensive side of the ball for Alabama? It seems like we might be trending in that direction. We'll let you know who it is and what Kane Womack had to say about him next on Morning Jox. 6:18, welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Thursday morning. Conrad and Damian with you until 7 o'clock when we'll hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. So we started off today talking about the new Yellowwood sponsorship with Auburn Athletics and Auburn football in particular. So if you missed the news, Yellowwood is going to have on the 25-yard line, they're going to have a sponsorship graphic that will be on the field there at Jordan-Hare Stadium, featuring, it'll say Pat Dye Field and then have the Yellowwood logo underneath it. So a lot of this is expected to bring money into the program that'll help offset that $20.5 million in annual revenue sharing that they are going to distribute to the student athletes moving forward. And we are told that it is a 5-year deal with Yellowwood that is in the 8-figure range. So not sure the exact number, but that is certainly a chunk of change right there, no doubt about it. And so some of you chiming in with your thoughts on the Courtesy GMC text line already this morning. See, like Casey, they say, I think the logo's fine, but I feel like it opens the door to make the field look like a patchwork quilt, which would be disgusting. See, I don't think that you're going to see it expand where I would be shocked if you had more than one of these, right? Like, I think a lot of schools are going to say, we'll do one of them. Like Tennessee has Pilot, Auburn has Yellowwood. I don't think you're going to just see, and now at the 45-yard line, here's, another corporate sponsor where you're just going to have, like 8 different sponsors on the field. I think it will be reserved for one. I'm not going to say there won't be multiple at any point or any school, but I don't think, I understand your concern, Casey. I just don't think it's going to happen like that. Certainly, I would hope not, because that would look, like you said, it would look horrible. This text come in. It says, Conrad Bamber's at it again, calling it disgusting. Give me a break. I literally asked you, the Auburn fans, if you thought it was disgusting. I could not care less what you do to your field.
People hear what they want to hear.
Yes, they do. And I just... There are some people that literally text in every day and clearly do not listen to anything in the show. They just have scheduled text that come out every single day. So no, but I would love to hear your opinion, whoever you are, about if you think it looks disgusting or if you think it's great and you're happy that the money's rolling in to your football program. Let's see. Lucky chimes in, says, anything new regarding Alabama's special teams? I know that was Greg's primary concern after seeing the scrimmage. Again, everything that I've heard is what a lot of other people have probably heard out there or shared out there, and that is essentially the special teams players look a lot better in practice than they have in the scrimmages. The punting situation seems to be pretty open. I would think that Connor Talty is pretty locked in as the kicker right now. But I've heard with Talty that in practice he looks automatic a lot of the time. Then you get out there in the scrimmages and it hasn't been automatic. So I think there's, we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out on the field, but it's certainly a concern as it stands right now. So appreciate y'all chiming in. More texts coming in, and we will get to those coming up a little bit later in the show. But we do want to go down to Tuscaloosa, see what's going on with the Crimson Tide, and not with special teams necessarily, but we will go on the defensive side of the ball because Kane Womack was made available yesterday. And so we got to hear the defensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide talk a little bit about his defense. And we'll start with, I think, the comment that probably drew the most eyeballs yesterday. So this is Kane Womack on Dijon Lee, who we've talked about a little bit here. He's a true freshman, absolute freak at the cornerback position. He's about 6'3", 6'4", so he jumps off the screen when you see him just from his physical attributes. But he's somebody we've heard a lot of good things about. He's turned a lot of heads in fall camp. And could he be somebody that finds himself in the starting rotation for Alabama this fall? This is Kane Womack on true freshman Dijon Lee.
Yeah, I think Dijon's had a fantastic camp. I think, obviously with, Damani's been kind of coming back from off season. He didn't go through spring. He was very limited in the summertime. And so we just tried to kind of, get him back the right way and put him on a pitch count a little bit through fall camp. But he's handled it well. He's done a nice job. But it's allowed Dijon in the spring, summer, and fall camp to get tons of reps and reps with the ones. To me, with two very experienced corners that we have on this roster, we feel like Dijon can go right in. You know what I mean? So credit to him, the way that he's playing right now. I see him as a starter in our defense. So really impressive. It's 2 years in a row, right? We've had a young freshman that Mo Lindquist has done a tremendous job of developing that guy into being a starter level player for us. And so excited for Dijon and what that does for our defense.
So there you go. He says he views Dijon as a starter in this defense, and that's pretty impressive because we know he's behind Xavier Brown, or at least that's where he's listed, I guess, on the depth chart essentially. But Xavier Brown, a guy that's a true freshman last year, came in and made a big impact, obviously, had that big interception at the end of the Georgia game to seal that victory for Alabama. But when you go and you look at what again, I think coming into the year, the secondary is probably the group that most people would agree, yeah, don't have any concerns about that group. They're going to figure it out. And now you have a true freshman come into probably your strongest position group and work himself into a starting position because that's just how good he is. So that's certainly a good news there for Alabama. The more the merrier. And when you have a guy with his size and his length, man, makes him such a threat. I know LSU has a defensive back that they're really excited about. I think he's 6'5", and you just don't see that, dude. Like, I mean, a 6'4", 6'5" DB, that's unfair almost. And so we'll see. I mean, again, I'm not projecting that he's going to go out there and be the best defensive player in college football, but like that's just a kind of a freak skill set for somebody there in the secondary. So I know a lot of Alabama fans very excited to see what he can potentially do.
Yeah, you don't find just 6'4" corners, 6'5" corners just laying around.
No.
Like that's elite. And I mean, if you're a receiver, I mean, quote unquote, the taller receivers are like 6'3", 6'4", and you got a corner that can match that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes very interesting ball out there on the island. And like if you're, shout out to us small receivers. If we have to line up on the outside and we see a 6'4" corner, we have to get creative on our releases because if they put their hands on us, we're kind of stuck.
Tough. Yeah.
We're kind of stuck. So, no, but the fact that, one, he's that tall, that gifted, that physically gifted, and also he's a freshman that's making plays, and that's something we've gotten from both camps, both Auburn and Alabama. A lot of these younger guys kind of stepping up when their time is called. And, again, with Damani Jackson, a guy that's, been banged up for a while, those reps are valuable. And now if you're Kane Womack, it's, I'm not even afraid to put a freshman out there because – one, he's got the physical tools, and he's gotten a lot of good reps that, okay, well, let's see what it's like when the game is called. So now you're building that depth, and you're even getting a little bit younger where you can continue to watch him develop year after year after year. So that's pretty big for that defense.
Yeah, and, he also went on to mention, because you had some people noting yesterday that Xavier Brown was actually getting some work at the Husky position there, and so potentially maybe that's where you see him at times move to Husky. And that's where Dijon can kind of step in and be that second cornerback alongside Damani Jackson as long as they're all healthy. And so I know Deshaun Jones, Red Morgan, some other guys getting work at the Husky position. And I think that kind of being viewed as maybe their spot. But now you just wonder, when you want to have the best guys on the field, right? And so if that means you got to mix and shuffle some things around, that's certainly the case. And I know Kane Womack briefly touched on that yesterday, just kind of saying, hey, yeah, we just, we like to get guys work at different positions just to kind of see what we have to handle. And, he was also asked about, what is the, a philosophy, I guess, in terms of getting the best players on the field versus maybe having, the most experienced guys at specific positions. And do you sometimes just say, hey, we just got to put the best guys out there and kind of let them figure it out for themselves a little bit. So going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out in this secondary, but obviously a lot of potential there for Alabama, and especially with Dijon Lee, the freshman, getting a lot of buzz. And as you heard Kane Womack say, he is working himself into being a starter on this defense. Well, how about some of the guys up front defensively for Alabama? Let's hear from Kane Womack. This is a guy that's been hurt for most of fall camp, but James Smith back out on the field. What has Kane Womack seen from James Smith, and what does he bring to that defensive line group?
James is doing a really nice job. Was dinged up there for a couple of days and has come back nicely. Has kind of hit all of the markers he needed to hit. We got him back out on the field the other day, and he looked fresh legs, and is he's such a havoc style player, right? He can create and generate a lot of havoc in the backfield, which is something I'm excited about, and how we're going to utilize him in that role.
So there you go. Excited about what James Smith can bring, and seems like he's already making a bit of an impact since being back on the field. And if you've been following fall camp for Alabama, I think it's safe to say that the defensive line at times has been, less than stellar, or maybe not up to the standard of what you would hope if you're an Alabama fan. And so getting James Smith back is a guy that can contribute, certainly is good news. The last thing I did want to share is a couple of guys. So you have Keon Keeley and you also have Kelby Collins. So we know Keon Keeley, he's now in his third year in the program. Kelby Collins transferred over from Florida. But those are two guys on the defensive front that, again, you would expect to be able to contribute this year. And, Kane Wommack kind of had similar sentiment about both of them. Basically, they've got to be more consistent before they're going to be able to reach their full potential, right? Is that they have some freak athleticism to him. Like especially with Keon Keeley, he was talking about, he's got a frame to him. He's just got to find out how to use it. He's got to find out how to be more consistent. And so those are some of the other guys that you're thinking, okay, well, what if a Kelby Collins is able to contribute this year? And I certainly would expect that these guys will see some time on the field. It's just, can you take what you've been doing in fall camp, continue to apply it throughout the season, and be more consistent in those areas that they need you to be consistent? So that's the latest from Kane Wommack there on the defense. But the big news about Dijon Lee, the true freshman, potentially finding himself in the starting lineup now for Alabama, as he's had a really, really, really impressive fall camp. So how about from the Alabama defense to the defense that they will face next week? That'll be the Florida State defense. And Tommy Castellanos, everybody's favorite quarterback, of course, had some interesting things to say about Alabama earlier this year, but now has some pretty high praise for his Florida State defense. So we'll let you know what he has, basically what he's telling Alabama they have in store for him when they face Florida State down in Tallahassee next weekend. We've got a quarterback battle in the SEC that's going to spill over into the start of the season. So a lot left to get to as we fill you in on everything else going on around the world of college football. That's all coming up next on the Thursday edition of Morning Jox. 6:35. Welcome back in to Morning Jocks. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you on this Thursday morning. And it's a fantastic Thursday because we are just 2 days away from the kickoff of the college football season. And that'll get underway in Dublin, Ireland on Saturday, as you will have Kansas State taking on Iowa State in Farmageddon. And you'll be able to hear that action right here on Jocks. And I know a lot of you very, very excited. It's a great time of year, and we are happy that we get to celebrate with many, many of you tonight at the Jocks kickoff party going on at Regents Field. Fortunately, a lot of you able to win tickets to this year's event, so can't wait to get to shake your hand, get to say hey, and meet a lot of you for the first time, meet a lot of you for the 100th time. But whether it's the first or the 100th time that we met you, can't wait to talk a little college football with you because we really do appreciate everything that our wonderful listeners do for us each and every day right here on Jocks. So we've had a lot of college football stuff to get to today. If you're just now joining the program, Auburn and Yellowwood announced their partnership, a 5-year deal worth somewhere in the 8-figure range that is going to see Yellowwood putting a sponsorship logo on the field on the 25-yard lines of Jordan-Hare Stadium, and they're also honoring Pat Dye with a Pat Dye Field logo that'll be alongside the Yellowwood logo for Auburn University, and that'll be going on for the next 5 years, and a lot of that money going to come into the Auburn program to help offset the $20.5 million in revenue sharing that they will now be distributing each and every year to their student athletes, just like other programs across the country. And then for Alabama, we had Kane Womack, the defensive coordinator, speaking with the media. And the big takeaway from him is that Dijon Lee continues to really turn heads as a true freshman and has seemingly worked himself into the starting rotation one way or another for the Alabama defense because he has been just really, really impressive all through spring, summer, and now fall camp as we are a little over a week away from them opening the season. But I told you before the break that you have Thomas Castellanos, who, if you are unfamiliar with who that is, he's the Florida State quarterback, and he is the one who was, had some things to say about Alabama earlier in the summer, just taking a couple jabs, trying to fire up his team about the season opening game there in Tallahassee. But now we have him talking about the defense, and not necessarily the Alabama defense directly, but listen to Florida State quarterback Tommy Castellanos when he tells you who the most difficult defense that he thinks he will face all year is going to be.
Oh yeah, I think Coach White and our defense is the hardest defense I'll see all year. Just schematically and stuff like that, what they do. It's hard to be back there and a lot of moving parts on their end, but it's helped me a lot and helped me be better and helped me progress as a quarterback and as a player and when to just take the check down or when to just eat it or throw it away and stuff like that and know when the play is over. So I think that deep, like seeing them every day for the last 3 weeks has helped me a lot and progress as a quarterback.
So there you go, the Florida State quarterback, not too worried about the Alabama defense because he faces the best defense in the country in his eyes, or at least the best one on his schedule in practice each and every day. So again, it's not a big deal, but it is, again, just one of those things that he's had himself a productive offseason when it comes to talking. And it's just interesting that we're still getting, subtle jabs here and there. I don't think he's intentionally calling out anybody on the Alabama defense, but I do think he's letting them know, we're not worried about the Alabama defense because we're facing the FSU defense in practice every day. Meanwhile, if you've seen some of the videos that have come out of Florida State's practice, particularly with the sled work, I would think you would probably enjoy going up against that defense every day.
They just caught him on a bad rep, Conrad. That's all it was. They just caught him on a bad rep. It happens during practice. But no, I think Tommy, when I think his sample size is a little small because that's the only defense he's seen. So I think he's just like, oh man, they're getting me on some coverages and they're twisting up front and it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. Some things I didn't see necessarily in the spring. But he has had a very eventful off season, I will say, because it seems like the microphones or the cameras catch him at just some pretty peculiar situations, and I feel as though he may be one of the few college quarterbacks, maybe him and Diego Pavia, you might need to get a PR team. You got enough money right now that you should look to your left or look to your right and say, hey, what should I say right here? And have almost like a translator of, give some credit to your opponent and say, hey, we're going 1-0 each week. We're thinking of, Alabama's defense is going to be the best defense I see all year because they're the first opponent. That's how you should handle that. And then each week you change it up. But again, he's probably shouting out his teammates of, they've been really killing in their practice. So he's probably sending a warning shot to Ty Simpson, like, hey, man, you better make sure your chin strap's buckled when you see our Seminole defense. It's some gamesmanship. That's how I'm looking at it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're spot on. Whenever he opens his mouth, we listen. So I just wanted to pass that along to everybody because he has had a lot of very positive things to say about Florida State this offseason. I wanted everyone to hear him. He's giving a shout-out, respect to the defense now.
See, I'm glad that Florida State's not opening with Georgia because Kirby Smart would have had that on loop in the Georgia locker room of, like, hey, Tommy Castellanos, he don't respect the defense that we have out here. Like, he basically said we're going 7-5 this season. Like, he would have a reverse psychology, and every time they walked into the weight room, they would have had that quote going on and on of like, your opponent doesn't respect you. This is what you need to look at it as.
I will never forget Nolan Smith after they beat TCU in the national title game going, no one had us here. They all thought we were going 7-5. I'm like, Kirby Smart is the best motivator I've ever heard in my life because literally no one in the world didn't think you would be in this spot, but he somehow convinced every single one of you in that locker room that none of us expected you to be there, even though the entire season we were all like, yeah, Georgia's probably going to win the national championship, but somehow
I've never understood it.
I haven't either, but shout out to Kirby because he certainly knows what he is doing there. So how about a little bit of quarterback news in the SEC though? Because we know with Missouri they're replacing Brady Cook, who you got to see in the preseason the other night. But now they have Sam Horn. He is kind of the incumbent, or he is the guy that's stuck around, been a part of the Missouri program for a little while. He also just signed a minor league deal with the Dodgers. But he got drafted in the Major League Baseball draft. Yeah, and he signed his deal. I think it was with the Dodgers. Yeah.
Okay.
So I do believe his plan is after this season, he's going to go play professional baseball, but he wants to play one more season of college football.
Real athlete.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So you have Sam Horn, who's been a part of the program, and then you have Bo Pribula. Is it Pribula? Have we figured that out yet?
I was just probably going to wait till week 1 and see when they say on the
that's kind of what I was thinking too. But we'll go with Bo Pribula, the transfer from Penn State. He was the backup to Drew Aller there in Happy Valley. But we've known those two guys have been battling it out. I think a lot of us expected Bo, just him transferring over from Penn State, was going to end up being the guy. But that is not the case right now, as Eli Drinkwitz announced to the team yesterday that the quarterback battle will continue into the season opener against Central Arkansas. So he's going to play both of his quarterbacks and evaluate them once the bullets are flying and live action there against Central Arkansas. So that's just again, we've seen this. This isn't anything new in college football or in the SEC, but anytime it happens, it's I just wonder, if you're a Missouri fan, are you excited because you get to see both guys and it's like, oh, well, maybe they're both, looking really good and we just can't decide between one or the other. But I think a lot of people default to, oh, so we don't really have a quarterback because one of them hasn't separated from the pack in fall camp. So I think there's always that concern that comes with news of this nature.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure that me and you are both on the same page of when Pribula hit the transfer portal and announced he was going to Missouri, we just kind of assumed, okay, well, he's going to be the day one starter.
Yep.
And we continue to ask questions of, to Eli Drinkwitz, and he even said it at SEC Media Days that it's a quarterback battle. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that was unexpected. And now he's announced that both these guys are going to play come week 1. It's like, oh, so nobody's separated out of that room yet? Like, and again, no shot at Brady Cook, but I didn't think he would be that hard to replace. And I mean that respectfully. I genuinely mean that I thought that, Brady Cook got better, but he also wasn't one of the guys that, when I looked at SEC QB power rankings, that he was near the top. And it's kind of, okay, yeah, as long as you have a serviceable guy, he should just be fine. But to know that we're still going into week 1 of, yeah, it's still a battle. It's like, oh, okay. It just gives me a little bit of a question mark, which a team I already had question marks going into the season with. And it's like, okay, this Missouri team could probably sneak up and win, have another 10-win season, or they could be 6-6, 7-5, and it was like, okay, well, it's kind of what I expected.
Yeah, they're a bit of a tricky one to figure out, but yeah, we'll certainly see how this quarterback situation plays out. Again, their first game against Central Arkansas, both Bo Pribula and Sam Horn are going to get an opportunity to play in that game, and then we will see if one of them is able to separate from the pack. Eli Drinkwitz, talking about it yesterday, said, quote, "I broke it all down yesterday on the off day. It's remarkable how close it is. For me, it's about being a transformational leader at this point and who's going to lean into the team and really get the most out of those guys. And they're going to have to kind of separate themselves from the quarterback battle and really get the most out of the guys they're playing with." So that is Eli Drinkwitz and some of his comments on the quarterback situation there for Missouri. But a lot of you have chimed in this morning on the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. What do you think about Auburn and Yellowwood? How excited are you for Alabama and true freshman Dijon Lee? Are you excited to see him potentially be a starter on this defense for the Crimson Tide? And what do you think about Missouri and their quarterback situation? Anything else going on around SEC country? Would love to hear from you as well. 205-834-9450. We'll read your text next on Morning Jox. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Thursday morning. Conrad and Damian with you, putting a bow on today's show before we hand you off to McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. Again, tomorrow we will be one day away from college football, and as Lewis chimed in on the text line, he says, with Farmageddon happening at 11 a.m. on Saturday, are we going to hear Lil Wayne tomorrow morning at 6:50 a.m.? And if you know, you know. Yes, you will. And if you don't know, you'll find out tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Can't wait.
Absolutely. It's been a long off season, Lewis, and we are ready to put a bow on that and get underway here in the college football season. So hope to see a lot of you out there tonight at Regions Field for the Jox Kickoff Party. Congratulations to those of you who entered and won tickets. Should be a very fun night tonight of talking college football with all of our wonderful listeners. So let's go to the text line for good. Let's wrap up the show there, Damian. 205-834-9450. That'll get you on the courtesy GMC text line, as many of our other wonderful listeners have already done, where Walker from Georgia chimes in, says, Jacksonville State versus UCF in just 7 days. Go Gamecocks. Absolutely. That'll be a great game getting underway next Thursday that you'll be able to enjoy. UAB also kicking off their season next Thursday night as well. Let's see. We have a new texter. It says, Vol fan and Bama land. I don't know if this is a new texter or Damien, but it just says, go Vols.
Well, that's not me.
Okay.
But go Vols.
I didn't know. Let's see. Gabe chimes in. He says, I didn't know we were still talking about this, but he says the only people mad about Auburn claiming 9 championships are the ones who claim 18. There are a lot of Alabama fans that are not happy about that. But, hey, again, I look at it like this. If Alabama's going to go and claim all those championships, why can't Auburn? I can't criticize Auburn for doing the same thing that my university has done for decades. So it is what it is. CJ chimes in, says, I figured if they were... Never mind. Not going to read that one. You got me there.
You almost pulled a Landry.
You got me there in the first half. We are not going to do that. Casey chimes in, says, okay, never mind. That was the one about the patchwork quilt. Sorry, I'm still thrown off by that last text. That would have not been a great one to read on the air. Jim Perry chimes in. He says, I don't have a problem with Yellowwood sponsoring Pat Dye Field at Auburn. College football is all about the money these days. So if that's the case, then show me the money. Just like in Jerry Maguire. Alan chimes in, says, tell me you want to be Big Brother without telling me you want to be Big Brother. All the barn folks used to criticize Alabama for claiming titles. Now they're doing it. Bama named their field in a historic stadium after a historic coach, and now Auburn's doing it. They still have a long ways to go, little bro. Let's go. Roll Tide. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Atta baby. Roll Tide.
That's Alan right there, channeling his Roll Tide Willie. Let's see. Jamie chimes in and says, hey, good morning, guys. Quick note, if Damien was to say the name Alabama today for his fandom, Conrad, you cannot just let him jump off of Tennessee's bandwagon over to Alabama without some sort of initiation or him signing a contract, a fan-to-fan contract where he won't be wishy-washy. He has a tendency to be wishy-washy with his fandom. We don't want that if he's an Alabama fan.
Wow. I didn't know I had to sign all that.
We'll have something special for you tonight if you ultimately decide to go down the Crimson path, but we'll see. Let's see. Bobby chimes in and says, honestly, I don't see the issue with the logos on the field as long as they don't mess with the school's logo at the 50-yard line. Other than that, don't see it as any different than jersey sponsorships patches we see in all the sports, and we brought that up earlier. Yep.
I look at it the same way.
Now, again, can we agree that we maybe, in an ideal world, those wouldn't exist at all? Sure, but that's not reality anymore, unfortunately. Will chimes in. He says, Moody travels to Gainesville, Georgia to play football tonight. All right, well, good luck to Moody over there in the state of Georgia. Let's see. Someone says, okay, Alabama should have Nick Saban Field and have it sponsored by Mercedes.
Hey.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw something like that down the line, potentially. Sean says, why are we so horrified of playing an unranked team week 1 that had 2 wins last year? I feel like we wouldn't be this concerned if we hadn't lost to Oklahoma last year. I'm not even counting Vanderbilt because they actually turned out to be pretty good.
Ain't nobody scared.
I'm not worried
We
about
ain't
that.
worried about him.
Someone says Tommy's sample size is not the only thing that's small. He's not the tallest guy in the world. Appreciate you joining us. We're back tomorrow at 6 a.m. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. They're next.